I'll tell you, folks, sometimes the little gotchas of cheap consumer networking equipment are the stuff of legends. Or, should I say, the stuff of facepalms. Take these routers, for example. But before we get to that, let's take a look at these cables. Brand new! They came with a set of power line adapters that can handle up to gigabit speeds. And yet, they're only Cat 5. Cat 5. Now, I don't know if those are marked Cat 5 because they're really Cat 5e and nobody really cares about Cat 5 versus Cat 5e anymore. But regardless, Cat 6 has been a thing for years. So, there's equipment nowadays that's supposed to handle gigabit Ethernet that's shipping with Cat 5 cables instead of Cat 6. I don't know. Either way, now let's take a look at these routers. These are two routers that are years apart, and yet they have a lot in common. They're $30 routers, nothing too special. They're running wireless N, 300 megabits per second tops, if you run them in dual band mode. I have this one running on DDWRT, this old Rosewell. I haven't run the factory firmware on this stuff in years. And of course, this Asus has Asus WRT and whatnot. But the max wireless speed on these devices is 300 megabits per second. Sounds cool and all, even though it's slow wireless N and not anything like the wireless AC that's available nowadays. They're cheap routers. What do you expect? Well, what you probably don't expect is the little gotcha that when you use these for your wireless, you'll do up to 300 megabits per second over the air, but the minute you use the WAN port to send everything through to your modem or your main router or whatever, you have 10100 ports on the back. Same thing with this new one that just came out very recently. I looked it up. I had to see for myself that these routers had the exact same thing wrong with them. They're 10100 ports once you get on the wired side. So, with both of these, unless you rig them up to use them as repeaters and never use the WAN ports, you're basically setting yourself up for a bottleneck because the wireless is up to 300 megabits per second, and yet the wired component of these things is only 10100s instead of 10100 1000. Seriously. The little details that you got to keep an eye on when shopping for routers when your internet speed goes up to a certain amount, like what just happened with my internet upgrade. Whatever. Little gotchas in cheap equipment. Gotta love it. MultimediaJay out.